Hello, I'm Rick Stivers. I'd like to welcome you to Young Martin's Reels. Today's project is going to be this Shimano Triton TLD20. And this is a beast of a reel, folks. I picked this up at the flea market, and I paid far more than I usually pay for a reel at the flea market, but I really had never gotten my hands on a lever drag before, and I wanted to do one for the show. And as soon as I get done with this one, I'm going to be putting it up for sale and getting rid of it. I don't have a use for it. It's a nice trolling reel for trolling out in deep water, and I don't do anything like that. So I'm going to be putting this one out there and letting it go. It's a really nice reel, and we're going to be taking it apart today, going through it, cleaning it up, and getting it ready to go. All right, first thing, this reel has a fair amount of use on it because the lettering is starting to wear to where it's getting a little more difficult to read. And I will tell you this, when I picked this up, the lever drag on it was frozen. And I messed with it, and I messed with it for a few minutes, and I couldn't get it to move. And I did not want to break it. It wasn't mine. I hadn't purchased it. And the man who was trying to sell it kept telling me, oh, that's a great reel. It's a great reel. You need to jump right on that. And I told him, I said, well, the lever drag is stuck on it. He said, oh, no, it's not stuck. And I said, okay. And he grabbed hold of it, and he pulled on it. He pulled on it. He pulled on it. He goes, oh, no, you got to push this button right here. So he pushed in the button, and he pulled on it, and he pulled on it, and pulled on it. And all of a sudden, it just made a loud pop, and it freed up. And now it works just like it's supposed to. No, you don't have to push the button. The button is only there for you to move forward. That's your stop for your regular drag. And then if you decide you really need more drag, you push in the button and power forward. But we'll set all this up today. I did not want to break his reel. So if anybody was going to break it, I was going to let him do it. But once he got it freed up, it had been sitting for a long time apparently. And once he got it freed up, it was fine. We're going to go through and lubricate it, clean it up, and have it ready to go out. We're going to start off by removing this screw right here. There it goes. I'm going to set, I've got a white tag over here, and I'm going to set that black screw on top of that white tag so it doesn't blend in and disappear on me. I have the black towel on here for contrast so that you guys can see when I'm working on a black reel. If I had a white background, the camera would adjust to that white background, and this would just be black. You wouldn't see anything. So that's why I had the black background. Okay, we've removed the screw, and now we can remove the handle. All right. I think the next thing we're going to remove is going to be the drag knob, and I think this just unscrews out of here. And let's see, I think we want to put it, to there, all the way down before we remove this all the way. There we go. Oh yeah, it's pretty dirty inside. We've got a spring here, and this part was stuck in there. We're going to free that up so that it moves easily again. And we'll have that ready to go back together. And now we should be able to remove the handle off of here. Yeah, there's some ugly grease in here. There we go. There goes the handle. And then it lifts out and off like so. Okay. And okay, that's a clicker for right here. There's a click ratchet built into it right there. And so that when you move this up and down, let's hook it on first, you should be able to hear that ratchet. There you go, hear it? All right, so we'll clean that up, have it ready to go. Next part we're going to be removing is these 3 screws that hold this plate on. And I'm going to need my Phillips for that. There we go. And these are smaller than your normal Phillips, so I'm going to trade out, go to a different one. Okay, gonna move over to this jeweler's size. problem with going to that small diameter is you don't get nearly as good a grip on that small one, so you have to really push and really have to grip hard. There we go. This is a graphite body, so the screws are kind of self-making threads on it. Let's see if I can break that one loose with the big screwdriver. Wow, that one did not want to come loose. Okay, now this comes off, and these are spring loaded, so I don't know if they're gonna come apart or not. Nope, they stay in. That's good. All right, there's our trim ring. Now under the trim ring is going to be these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 screws, and we're going to be taking those out. Those look like they might even be a number 2 Phillips, but we'll see. I'm going to break each of them loose with my common before I go taking them out with my Phillips. All right. Now we've got this side off. And this is the main gear in this. And it just pushes straight out. I'm going to give it a little assistance from the other side, like that. There's a square cap that goes on for the other side. Okay. There comes your main gear out, and there's your anti-reverse right here. Okay, and this just basically needs a good cleanup, which we'll do, and then we're going to come back and put that back together. Let's take a look at our gear. Wow, that's a big, nice, heavy gear. And we're going to clean that up nicely. And this black grease is not fun to deal with, I can tell you. Okay, let's see what comes next. Let's see, I'm just curious if these springs, okay, these springs can be removed, or see these spring buttons here? They can be removed. They have E-clips on the inside, and they can be removed. You can just pop the clip off of them and then take them out, spring and all. And if you needed to clean up underneath there, you could. I was curious about that. All right. You unscrew it turning this way, but I think we've got to take these 2 screws out first. It has a big unscrew direction pointer on it saying you unscrew it this way. But before you can do that, I believe that these 2 screws have to come out. All right, that's got those off. Okay, and it says this thing unscrews this. Oh, never mind. I did not have to take those 2 screws out. I'm gonna put them back. Those only hold the outside ring on. So we can put those back in. If I decide that I need to take that apart to clean it, I can do so, but I don't think that's gonna be necessary. All right, now it says to unscrew this, which I think it might already be unscrewed at this point. Yep. And out comes the spool. Okay. And we are going to rubber band this line here once we get it properly wrapped back on. All right, let's move over to our side case, and it's got some old grease in it, which should clean up pretty easily. Some of it appears to have been slung around. So we're gonna start off with a cotton swab and go in and just kind of wipe the majority of that out. And I'm gonna go back in and wipe it out again. And then we're going to hit it once more with a cotton swab. Okay, now that had a lot of grease down in there where it really didn't need a lot of grease. The only grease that really needs to be in there is just a little bit on the clicker itself, right there, like that. That's really about all the grease that you need to have in there. And aside from that, it's in really good shape. Now we're going to move back over to the spool, because this is where the business end happens. And we are going to remove this pin out of here, and we don't want to lose that. So I'm going to set that over here with my other important, good to keep parts. And let's wipe this off. Make sure there's nothing I'm missing. All right, now we're ready to take out these two screws. Okay, with those two screws removed, we should be able to slide our clicker off. That's our clicker cog. And now what do we got behind here? We've got an axle shaft that wants to slide out. Okay, from this, okay, at this point we can take the pinion gear off of this side. All right. And the axle shaft comes out of this side. And we want to keep everything in order here. I got a stack of washers, shim washers, and another one of these pins right here that holds this all together. Okay, those go there like that. I don't want to lose that. And here's another shim washer. And that pin, there we go. Okay. Now what do we do? Oh, it unscrews again. That's what was unscrewed. I did not manage to get it unscrewed before. We were just turning the rotor, or the spool. There we go. Now we can unscrew this, and out it pops. Okay. There's a spring. And here is a bearing. We're going to oil that bearing and go to the other side. I'm going to see if I can push that bearing out. There we go. I've got that bearing out. Okay, we're going to lubricate these two bearings, clean them up good. Let's take a look. Okay, and this is our drag washer, and it locks into place. That's a nice drag washer. Look at that thing. And it gets no lubrication or anything else. It's a dry drag washer. Okay, there's nothing under it. There's no dirt or anything, so we can slip that right back in. We'll leave that dry. On this side over here, this is our drag plate. Man, that is a thing of beauty, isn't it? Okay, and we're gonna leave that with no grease on it. Okay, and it's trying to leave just a film on it. We don't want to leave any film on it. There we go. Okay, we're gonna set that right back on there like so, but that's not gonna do us any good without the bearing in it. Okay, so I think we're completely disassembled at this point. I'm gonna clean all these parts up. We're gonna come back in a few minutes and put it all back together. Parts have all been cleaned now, and I believe at this point we're ready to start reassembling. First thing we're gonna do is we're gonna put these bearings back in. I've oiled this bearing because it is a sealed bearing and I didn't want to take the seal out of it, so I've oiled it. And this bearing over here is not. It's shielded on one side like that and open on the other side. So I cleaned it out real good and I repacked it with grease, and that open side goes to the inside to help protect it. Okay, so that's back in. All right, I had a bit of a malfunction on trying to get this thing back together, so I had to go back, check the schematics, and see how things go. So I was trying to put a spring where a spring didn't belong. So what we're going to do, first off, I'm going to show you how all this comes together right here. Okay, you've got this cap goes on there. There's a shim washer here. Under here, there's a pin. If that pin, see there? See how that pin tried to just slide out? Make sure that pin stays in there. Okay, these are preload washers. They actually have a tension to them, and then on top of that it's going to go this bearing like that, and then this guy goes on here. And what I was trying to do, I was trying to put the spring on the wrong side. Okay, so I'm back and we're going to go through this now. We're going to slide this in, slide it all the way in, and line up the holes for these two screws and put those two screws back in. Okay, with that screwed into place now, that can't come out. And there's still that pin that goes in this end. We're going to put that in at the very end when we go to put this back together. Now, next is going to go on this bearing. It slides down inside here, and I've oiled it. I'm going to oil it one more time. I don't want to get too much oil in here because I'm afraid that it will escape from in here and get onto this drag washer. And we do not want oil on this drag washer. Okay. Next is going to go this spring. Goes in here like so. And then it's going to go this piece. And it's got a bearing in here, and I've oiled that bearing. Made sure it was free flowing. Okay, and then this is going to slide down, seeing it's spring loaded there. Okay, then this is going to come back on, and we're going to screw it counterclockwise to tighten it back down. Do not cross thread it. It actually starts on pretty easy. There we go. And now this should spin rather freely on there, and it does. And I've got a piece of line trying to escape here, so we're going to clip that off. All right. Next is going to go this pinion gear back in. And I'm going to get out my schematic to see if it shows which direction it goes in. Okay, the long end of the pinion gear goes down inside, like so. Doesn't look like it grabs it very much. I'm sure that doesn't go the other way. I think it goes that way. It's a much better grab. Yeah, and this is going to fit up into this bearing, even though it doesn't look like that in the drawing. It looks like the short end goes out, but I'm pretty sure it goes that way. because they're just, when you put it this way, there just isn't hardly any teeth grabbing. It's just barely. This way you've got a good solid grab. Okay. Next, we're going to set this over to the side. Well, we can go ahead and put it in. We're good up to this point. I'm going to put a little bit of grease onto this pin in order to help hold it into this hole. There we go. And that should help keep that from sliding out of the hole. Now we'll take that and slide it down here, and you've got to make sure that that pin's going to lock into that slot down at the bottom. Like that. Okay. Put our pinion gear back in. There we go. And let's go ahead and grease the pinion gear before we put it in, because once it's in, there's no getting to it to grease it. It's kind of a done deal at that point. There we go. I'll set this over to the side, and we're going to come back to here. Now, when I was cleaning this anti-reverse came off of this key, and I'm going to show you, it's real simple to put back. So we're going to go ahead and do it real quick. I'm going to blow this up, and hopefully I'll remember to come back and shrink us back down. But this comes out like this and just unhooks off of there like that. Okay? In order to put it back, you just take that end. See, it's got this little hook right here. That little hook is supposed to hook on that spring. So you put it back in here, hook that on the spring, and put it on, and there it is. You're in. Okay, that's all there is to putting that back. Now we've got our main gear, and that is a beauty. It's a nice looking gear. We're going to stretch back out now. There we go. And we're going to grease up this main gear. And there's a bearing right there, and I also oiled that bearing. There we go. And I'm going to put a little bit of grease along the back side here for the anti-reverse, just to keep the metal to metal wear down. And with that done, I'm going to go ahead and oil this shaft, although this shaft does not spin on the bearing, it just sits inside the bearing. So the bearing's going to be spinning. Okay, now when we put this in, we're going to slide this down through that bearing. Nope, wrong hole. All right, we're going to slide this in, and when we do, it's going to get down to the point right there where it's going to try to hit up against that anti-reverse, and that's going to keep it from going down the rest of the way. So you come over here, grab hold of the little tag end of the anti-reverse, and pull it over until that drops down. And now you've got it in there, and when you rotate it, you can see the anti-reverse working. Okay. And that is the end of what's going on the inside of this. So it's time now to put it back together. So we're going to flip this over and realign the holes. Let's see if there's a keyway of some type that allows us to see where everything is going to go. I know that that's going to be over here. So let's go ahead and try it that way. Let's see where the screw, that screw is going to go right there. Okay, that's going to go there, and this is our free point. And I did not clean this piece. Let's go ahead before I go putting it all the way down on there and putting the screws in it and the covers and everything else. Let's go ahead and do a quick cleanup on this. Little pin rod and reel cleaner. I'm not getting sponsored by them or anything. It just Dennis over at Second Chance Tackle recommended that stuff to me years ago, and I finally broke down and bought a bottle of it, and it actually works really nice. I'm pretty pleased with how it cleans. It does an amazing job on rods. I've taken some rods that looked like they needed to be in the junk pile and cleaned them with that, and man, they sure look a lot better. I don't know if it's got a wax built into it that helps enhance the appearance or what, but it really does a nice job. But up until then, I always use just WD-40. All right, now that looks much better. Okay, and I'm gonna do one final wipe down once we get everything back together. Let's go ahead now. And I thought this thing was spring-loaded, but it is not spring-loaded. Let's get all of our screws started in the holes before we send any of them all the way down. All right, all those screws are in. Now we're going to move over and close this garage door back so I can stop the wind blowing in. All right, I think at this point we're ready to put the trim ring back on. I think that's going to be the next piece to go. This piece has got to fit down over there and like that. And there's one single screw that goes in. It's countersunk. It goes right here. And we'll get him started first. Then are going to go these two bumper screws. And these are for the knob to bounce up against. These are stops. And these are actually bigger screws than they look like. All right, let's get that in. Okay, we know where that one goes. All right, next, I believe is going to go this piece here, which will come up here and go slide over this square. Wow. There. Okay. Then this arm is going to go on. And there's a washer that goes under here. That fits first, like that. And actually, that washer has to fit up under this clicker right here, so you have to kind of put the two of them on there together, I think. And that'll go on there, but you have to, this is a little dexterity involved here. We got to have that up under there, like so, and then you have to hook this hook right here underneath this metal rim, and then set it all in place like that. Okay, and we're going to bring it all the way to the down position right there. And then comes this piece here. This is our tensioner with our spring. And this is the torsion wheel. And this torsion wheel has got to go, see the slots in there? We want that to go in there like that. So we'll go ahead and set that in first to make sure that it gets lined up properly. Okay, get it locked into those little wings. Then we can set this in place and start to screw it down. Okay. Now we'll stop at that point. Let's take a look at what we got. Well, we don't have the handle on. Let's go ahead and put the handle on now. Let's set the handle in place like so. We're going to tighten down the screw. And we got to get that little scallop lined up with where the screw head's going to be, like that. So we can put the screw, set it in place, and go ahead and put it in. That's going to lock that screw into place so it can't fall out. Okay, now when we turn the handle, nothing happens, right? Well, as we lever forward, hey, we've got tension on it. Now it turns. Okay, now we're going to adjust this. Okay, when it comes all the way down, nothing should happen. Okay, when we bring it up, still nothing happens. We bring it up to here, you've barely got drag. Okay, well, I want it to have more drag than that. Okay, when you're at your, this is your engage. This is your, hey, I've got a fish on, but you know, he can fight me and I can fight him. But see, right now, he can still pull it out reasonably easy. All right, so we're going to tighten this down. Okay, now he's got a fight on his hands. Now he can still pull some out, but it's tighter. I want it to be a little bit more tight than that. I'll tighten it down some more. He can still pull it out reasonably well. Now it's getting really tight. Now he's got some fight. He's going to really have to fight to pull some out. Okay, and then if you crank it all the way forward, he's not dragging anything out. There's nothing happening. Okay, if you can feel it pull out some more, like I can do just barely. If I pull really hard, I can pull a little more line. Let's tighten it down some more. Okay, there we go. Okay, that's full in drag. That means he ain't going nowhere. I've got him locked down and he's not going anywhere. Okay, there you go. Nice reel. Okay, let's see what we got here. Spins nicely. Anti-reverse is working. Let's turn on the clicker. There you have the Shimano Triton TLD20 lever drag reel. Oh, by the way, leave it in off mode if you're parking it. You're not going to be using it for a while. Go ahead and set it down, and that takes all the tension off your drag washer. So, all right. So, I hope you liked the video. If you did, please hit the like button. If you didn't, hit the dislike button. Tell me what you didn't like. And for now, that's Rick Stivers of YoungMartin'sReels, signing out.